Welcome everybody to another episode of Culture Cast. I'm joined today with someone you may recognize because he was one of our early Culture Cast guests, Michael Figler, longtime friend and a phenomenal investor. He is going to tell us today about what he's getting into nowadays and how he took his company from very little or no properties to now having a huge portfolio.
I'm the CEO of Intercapital Holdings, which is a holding firm which owns a number of companies that are in the real estate space, that are ancillary and servicing the real estate space. Everything from development, property management, investor management and funding, things of that nature.
Yeah.
And Lou and I go back for 15 years probably or so when I started.
It's very competitive. The market today, you see there's so many people out there who are calling themselves investors, so many people coming from out of state trying to buy in Jersey and buy in the area. You know, how does one find a good deal nowadays? How do you see yourself getting the next good deal, or how is someone able to do that nowadays?
Well, there's a couple ways to answer that question, right? Because there's the novice, there's the intermediary, and then there's the professionals that are out there. So guys like us that have been in the business and have built reputations over the last decade, clearly this is a network, right?
Yeah.
So aside the obvious, for those that don't have the network or in the beginning stages of it, I mean, I started off boots on the ground, as you know, driving for dollars, looking at sheriff's lists. I mean, this was pre-social media. This was even pre-SEO optimization, everybody trying to correlate that with trying to find leads on properties. So now there's a business in servicing the real estate industry on how to acquire these leads. And then really to go further into that, it's one thing to get leads and how to convert them into actual dollars and how to maximize the profits and make a fair deal. I mean, there's a whole art form that goes along with that. And what I'm seeing in the market, for the last couple of years, I'm sure you see this, a lot of eager investors, a lot of people that are so concerned about getting something into a contract. They're not really working through the parameters, and they're not really thinking their strategy through because they're so eager to get something locked. They really don't know what to necessarily do with it. They didn't really go in with an executed plan. And sometimes just knowing how to deal with people and knowing circumstances and the moving factors around it make a huge difference in how you can choose to make an offer, negotiate when you do get those leads in.
Sure.
But getting leads again, there's sheriff's lists, there's plenty of things on the internet out there to get you leads. It's what you do with them that really matters.
Well, at one point or another, everyone thought, just wait for a good REO or wait for a short sale to come through. Are those still the avenues out there, or are you seeing less and less of that stuff now?
It's all, one's all subjective to the next. I can't tell you the last time I bought a short sale, but that doesn't mean that others are not doing it. I work on a little bit different margins than most people do at the same time. But REOs, yes, I purchased one recently. But again, I own a construction company and a management company. So, we bought a house to cut the roof off of it, did major excavation, new septics, irrigation, something that actually sat in the market for quite some time. Yeah. And we saw the opportunity, I saw the opportunity, got my company running into it. And, we cut the roof off it, did all this. And, a house that went from $400,000 is now getting on the market for $699.
Got it.
So that was an REO. So everything is circumstantial, I'd say.
Well, you remember there was a time where if you were going to a sheriff's sale, you're a big boy. Like nobody was going there who wasn't a regular. And now you see new faces every week.
I don't even go anymore because I used to feel in those types of atmospheres, like you even said, certain counties, I wouldn't go weekly. I didn't go often, but guys knew me as when I would show up, Mike's going to buy. Yeah. He's here to buy. He's not here weekly. I'm not a bid guy. And as you get more of those people coming in there, certain people would stay out of your way.
Of course.
Because they start to gain a respect. They know I own a construction company. They know I own a management company. Yeah. So maybe the bidding is not as aggressive. And as that, started to flourish with more people that were novice, and you have a lot of properties that come back up. They tie up at 20%. It gets held up for 6 to 7 months. It goes back on the block. Yeah. And more of that's happened in the last few years than ever has before.
Yeah, I've seen that as well. So where do you see the market going? Is there like a softening in a certain price range? Is there a softening in certain markets? Where do you see the market in the next year or so?
Well, there's enough facts in front of us now that we can actually look at, okay, what our last year has been. Yeah. We're definitely in the we're in our slowest start to a spring right now as it is. That's factual. The, 7-figure homes about a year ago started to really have some serious reductions. Certain counties obviously fluctuate more than others. Others still remain being stable. I think that we have a larger picture aside just the real estate market. Yeah. And of course, when all these newbies come in and when you have all these new gurus, when that becomes a business in itself, that kind of tells you that there's a bubble.
It's a writing on the wall.
So I've been saying, I'm probably coming out the wrong time because I'm just speaking for the first time, like in the last month on real estate. But there's a bubble that's going to happen with that in itself. So that tells you where the market is. And now we have a presidential election coming up. You have a lot of corporate tax law that's changed, with President Trump being in. And now a presidential election can be a little scary to large corporations and even guys like us. The trickle down effect is massive on that kind of scale. So the next year is going to be very interesting. I think that the spring and summer is going to remain fairly strong enough for the professionals like us to be very successful.
Yeah.
We're going to watch how things start to run going into the fall, and when the political, the media and the political propaganda starts really getting out there. I think we're going to start to start watching what the big corporations, watch what the big banks are doing.
Yeah.
There's really aggressive banking programs out there again right now, which is also like an inkling of the banks are trying to maintain the momentum. So when banks are looking to maintain momentum, that means there's really not enough momentum. So
yeah.
you're relying on marketing than actual, really real investors that are actually making secure investments.
I get it.
Well, with more people flipping, more investors out there, there's going to be more product going to market.
Yeah.
Which I think buyers need to really be wary, because with that you have a lot of inexperienced people that are now hiring contractors, relying on the contractor, and again with all these novice investors become novice and contractors.
Sure.
And everyone's going to these seminars because they're looking to get a job, or get a gig or get a contract. As for guys in like my construction company, is not open to the public, period.
Yeah.
We're just that busy, we won't take business. But someone who's there soliciting business might not have such a stable operation. You become susceptible to all those you work with. And then the buyer, in turn, becomes susceptible to whatever kind of work or process was done. Maybe it was done the right way, the wrong way, in between. And then they become reliant on home inspectors and agencies like such as yourself to really guide them. Real professionals in the real estate space, in realtors, that's where, again, you're going to be talking about the top 5 to 10% at best that actually can convey that to a buyer.
Let's just say we do see a downturn, maybe not as hard or as severe as the last recession we had. Where do you think the opportunity is going to lay at that point?
Well, for me, I ride the waves. I'm always on top of them. So even when they hit low, for me personally, I mean, we're very heavily funded. So, I mean, I'm going to be looking to acquire. I would, tell most people that are looking to, if they're seeing these things, do your research.
Yeah.
Nothing is a secret. It's all out there. Most people just don't want to put in the work and do the reading.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason why they call the stock market a publicly traded place is because everything's literally public.
Yeah.
You can read everything you want if you can connect the dots.
It's out there.
Yeah, you'll be fine. And if you position yourself with timing, there's gonna be a giant opportunity, as we know. And we might have a slower, we might come out of that a little slower on the next one if we don't get some sort of federal Band-Aid or, but who knows what could happen. Hopefully it's just a slow, and it's just based on the political race, and we have a year or two of maybe a slow market, and maybe we can continue riding some form of stabilization.
You now are getting into a different part of your life where now you're speaking more on your experiences, you're educating more. You're speaking with me on the same event at the Tri-State Mixer on May 4th. So how did you get to that point? Because I remember there were times when, you were down and out and you were like, damn, man, what am I doing? You've learned a lot since then. So what do you think you're going to be talking about? Like, what do you want people to know that getting into real estate, or if you want to be an investor, like what are the principles that, one should master?
Well, for me, and going into that wave of like, my down and outs aren't exactly like other people's down and outs. I would get down and out on myself at times. Real estate was, as you know, was a vehicle for me.
Yeah.
Flipping houses was fun. I got to use my creativity. I love to design things. Turning out a good product to me is everything. I tend to be a perfectionist in everything I do.
Yeah.
So when I had financial freedom in real estate, even through the last crash or in 2008, I took a hit, but I didn't lose. I did very well. I started to acquire, and I definitely made the best of the situation. And that gave me the mindset that I needed to, when I got down and out, because I wanted to do other things.
Yeah.
It was like, at that point, I felt that was a master flipper. I owned a construction company. I owned hundreds of apartments that I'd flipped. I've owned over 1,000 at this point, but at that time, I was looking for other things to feed my creative that urge, and that's when I started taking what I learned in real estate and applying them to other industries. And I was privileged enough to start working with some very high-level people that were, worked in multi-billion-dollar companies and started multi-billion-dollar companies, and kind of went out for a 5-6 year hiatus, not making as much money, mastering real estate so well that I was able to do it virtually from a cell phone. At times you've even helped me and helped me make a couple dollars doing it as well. And I think, you know, in the last year and a half, 2 years, I kind of came back from that after taking a couple companies public, and I now hold a couple advisor positions. I started speaking on behalf of the cannabis industry and sector, which I got into as a real estate developer, which then got me on the board of directors of one of the first publicly traded companies. And now with this, everything that's been happening in real estate, I know no matter what happens in the market, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be having a good time.
Sure.
And seeing what's out there, I've seen a lot of just such misled information, and a lot of people just kind of promoting themselves. Now you're going to see at the event, I'm not going to have anything to promote. I'm going to be there to tell my story. I'm going to be there to kind of tell people what real estate did for me to get, you know, help me gain financial freedom to really become who I am today, to learn myself, to be able to go out and have the freedom to experience life, culture, travel the world. And now I'm ready to kind of come back and share that with other people and hopefully guide them on a real path that will set them straight.
So what do you see yourself getting into now? I know you're doing the speaking, you've got the cannabis stuff.
I'm actually going back to residential quite a bit. You know, I actually got so caught up in doing commercial development and residential development that, you know, when you're leveling up or you're moving up to the next level, I should say, and I went into doing buildings and then commercial space, and then I, you know, in the cannabis space doing 90,000, 100,000 square foot agro-technology design, I forgot what got me there, what gave me the ability to have all these world experiences, to make all these new friends and relationships, and it was flipping houses. So I just kind of came back to doing that, you know, and even in the last couple of months, I think aggressively to the point where I set myself, I like to challenge myself. And recently, I mentioned to you earlier today, I set myself up a little challenge of a 30-day challenge, and I nearly doubled my expectations.
That's awesome.
So, you know, now it's fun again. I'm kind of going
Talk
back
about
to my
that.
roots.
Talk about that, because that's exciting. I mean,
it really is exciting.
You're touching on it very lightly, but tell everybody what you did.
Well, I'm gonna reveal it a little bit more locked in, but
you don't have to give too many specifics. You just tell us more or less.
Well, I set a goal for myself, and you know, not even really having a team. What I was trying to do was set an example for some people that I'm trying to create a team with and work with. Longtime friend of mine, many of you guys probably know who he is, but you know, kind of working with some of the pre-existing team and really showing them how this can be done on a high-level business. And it's not just like, hey, it's, you know, it's cool to have the big house and the cool cars and the nice watch and all that, but like I'm way past that. Like I got rid of all those things. I don't even care about them anymore. And you start thinking about bigger purpose, and that's what I'm trying to show them. So I set a goal of you know, $500,000 for a month, and far exceeded that, $20,000 shy of making a $30,000 shy of making $1 million month in a pipeline. And I'm talking about locked in contracts.
When you say $1 million worth of equity in the properties?
$1 million worth of profits is what, and you know the way I run my numbers. I tend to shoot low, aim high, and most of the time I do much better than I expect to. But right now, at a solid number, I can claim that we're just shy of about $1 million in 30 days in a pipeline, as to which about $350,000, which is already signed into sales agreement contracts of profits.
It's amazing, brother.
So, and that's what it, you know, pretty much not even working with an operating team. So I set this challenge for myself.
That's boots to the ground, like you say.
It was boots to the ground, and I'm having fun doing it, you know, and it's really cool because I'm getting to educate some people that are really looking to come into space, and I want to see if I'm doing like a 3-month study, or basically, I guess you could say. And I'm going to share it with everybody. I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to show the spreadsheets, contracts, how I worked agreements. I
love it.
Yeah, I'm going to put it all out there. No one's showing you how to do it. Everyone's telling you. I'm going to show you. It's the easiest way to do it.
That's cool, man. But, you know, so what a lot of people are going to be intrigued by is, okay, so you went and worked remotely from all over the world, South America, everywhere. You've been in Nevada. And were you able to, how were you able to kind of like get this to a point where it could be done remotely? Because most people have a business, they need to be there, and that's more transitions to being a job. How did you take a job, you know, into I guess a real business where you could run it remotely from anywhere?
Well, I didn't run it well remotely, though it was successful to, you know, most people's standards, to my own standards. I didn't look at it as like, oh, I need to make money. It was never about money for me. I mean, as long as you've known me, it really was more about the game. You know, taking something that no one saw value in, and then making people awe over it. You know, really seeing the beauty in something, and of course monetizing it. But the reason I was able to do that was because I learned all those moving parts. I did study. I mean, when I literally want to learn how to flip houses, a buddy of mine was flipping a house, and at this point I was in the music industry. I had a car dealership, you know, it was my first. I sold that. I went to my buddy. I was like, I want to flip houses. There was nothing for me to do.
Sure.
So I took an $8 an hour job. I pulled up in my Mercedes, and I went to swing a hammer so I could just learn the mechanisms, because I knew that if I could learn that. And then a month of doing that, I went and spent 2 months with another buddy of mine, which many of you probably know as well too, and worked at his mortgage company for 2 months, and then learned how that aspect went, and then essentially learning sheriff sales and foreclosures and the list.
Every aspect.
Forced me to learn title. So learning the mechanisms of transactions and the legal transactions was kind of a crash course that you're able to do, I think, in a few months of studying. But the construction was the real thing. Managing people, managing a team, getting unity, multiple teams, you know, to the point where we're running. I mean, you know, I had 40, 50 men a day in construction running over 5, 6, 7 sites, and being able to have the respect of the men and at the same time get progress done. I mean, that was really the art form. You had to know everything. You have to watch everything until the point where you can watch it a little bit less, because you have people you trust, and you have to nurture and essentially farm these people kind of in a way, you know?
It's excellent. Well, I'm very proud of you, brother, and you're doing amazing things.
Same
You make
to you, my
everything
friend.
sound so easy. Like, oh my God, I'm like, Mike, how the hell are you running a business that you're not even there to see? But everything is possible as long as you've got
The last 30
you got the
days
experience.
is living proof of that.
Yeah.
I probably have no more than 7-8 hour work weekend for the last 4 weeks of that pipeline. You know, I had a team to help me out with that, and this is a team that's just being taught from no experience.
I was gonna
so it's a
mention
really
that.
cool pilot case study. For me.
No, I was going to mention that. I'm like, your life now reminds me of the 4-hour work week, and it's just like so cliche to say it, but it's possible. I guess it really is possible as long as you're a master. But you can't say, I wake up one morning, I'm going to be a 4-hour work week guy. No, you put in all the work. You worked every job along the way to know that if you're on the phone with somebody who's telling you, yeah, it's going to take us a little bit longer to finish this roof. No, it's not. I've done enough roofs, or I've seen enough roofs where I know it's not going to. So you know all these moving parts, and that allows you to be the investor that can work remotely or oversee a job from somewhere else.
Correct, and it also actually, to go into, you know, to give you guys a little pointer, a tip, learning that is what gave me the ability to even create more equity on nearly all my projects. See, a lot of times, I mean, and not to say this, I actually tend to know more than most home inspectors do. You know, I actually taught myself architecture and engineering to a certain degree, not into full study, but enough to understand the basics of the levels of construction that I was working in, you know, whether it was high rise or, you know, steel or concrete, whatever the case may be. And you know, and when you know all that, you know, you exactly like you said, I know time, materials, money, this, that. Now, people who don't have that, and you want to, you know, you don't want to put that work in, it doesn't suit everyone's personality. There are ways that you can actually just get things down to a simple formula. You know, base the house, figure out the category of the year, put like your own grading system on it, put up, this is the square footage, it's 2,000 square feet. Okay, this is a basic remodel, strictly the inside. We can keep this at 28 to 30 bucks a foot. You know, we're gonna get into the inside, you know, the outside. Now we're getting into, you know, some of the mechanicals. You know, you create a range for yourself, so at least when you look at something at a quick glance, essentially you'll be able to get like a ballpark, then work the numbers. You know, you have certain properties with oil tanks and septic tanks, and there's underground, and these can give you the ability to renegotiate certain things at certain times. You know, of course, doing it in an honest and, you know, traditional manner. You know, it's not like some of these guys the way they do it. But you know, there's opportunities all over the place. Once you know all those moving parts, you can play chess with them.
Awesome. Now, we've talked a lot about work. Now, tell me some of the fun stuff you've done in the last few years. I know you've been to Peru, Colombia, Nevada. You've been everywhere. Tell us some of the fun stuff that you've been able to do. I'm sure our listeners want to hear about some of that
I thought
too.
we've been talking fun stuff.
Well, this is fun for me and you, but there might be people out there who might be interested in knowing what kind of lifestyle you can live when you obviously do the hard work first.
See, I don't even look at anything like work anymore.
It's a marriage of the two, right?
Yeah, it's just life, you know. I'm living life, enjoying life. I really like inspiring and teaching people. That's something that in the last few years has come, that people are now bringing apparent to me, that I've been this influence.
Mentor.
So that's been something I've been, you know, kind of embracing. I hold a number of board positions to a couple companies, and you know, one is in South America, so I'm often in Colombia and Peru. It's half business, half pleasure. A lot of times I actually get away to kind of recenter myself. And I was doing it monthly, as you may know, for a while. So when you see me traveling on social media, a lot of times what I'm doing is like, I break away to look at my last 3 weeks, what I did, and what my plan are for the next 3 weeks.
Sure.
And essentially, I just basically handle any emails or paperwork, anything that might slip in, deal making, and then I set up my next 3 weeks. Then I come back to New Jersey, and I kind of hang out, play golf, and take my meetings and go to the meetings I need to.
Of course.
But that's really, what getting away has been for me. And honestly, I'll travel halfway across the world to sit down and have a great intellectual conversation with friends of mine. And, so when you see me in Vegas sometimes, in Puerto Rico, that's actually what I'm doing. I'm actually traveling to meet like-minded individuals and just talk life, talk shop.
What are you most proud of that you've accomplished year to date?
I don't know if there's anything, just life.
Yeah.
I don't think if you can look at yourself as a whole and say you're proud of yourself, why one thing? All these things make me.
You're proud of the life that you've created for yourself.
That I'm yet to create.
That you yet to yourself. The future life.
Yeah, I'm still enjoying the ride, and it's really only just starting to pick up. As you know, I've kind of been, I've been quiet for the last few years because I've been outside of New Jersey doing things. So to come back home and get to hang out with guys like you more often again, I miss that camaraderie.
Of course.
Getting to hang out with Lenny and my boys over there all the time. So a lot of it's been a lot of fun. Yeah. And honestly, I'm focusing on the fun, but I'm making the best of the time.
How much of your success do you think is attributed to mindset? That's a good question.
Mindset.
Everything
never
is,
regret
right?
yesterday. I'm blessed enough that I've never had a jealous or envious mind. I've never looked at anybody else's work or, I challenged myself within. And, when there's time to learn, still to this day, I sit back and I get quiet in a room and I look for the opportunity to have the privilege to be in those rooms at times. And now sometimes I'm that person in the room for other people. So it's just embracing it and enjoying life, man. That's all you can really do.
But let's humanize you for a minute. I'm sure there was times when you were depressed or down on yourself, right?
Absolutely. I'm human, man. We all get there. And sometimes it's the weirdest things that do it, right?
But then you got to snap out of it, right? You can't let that linger for too long.
Well, I mean, my family went through a pretty serious tragedy 2 years ago, my brother. And more depressing news that followed that, finding out what this person that, hurt my brother in a drunk driving accident and tried to back over him to kill him on purpose. Oof. Yeah, so, dealing with things like that, but you have to stay strong because, I had to step up in my family, be that person that was needed. Yeah. And we all did. We all came together and, that's just one thing, The other saddest thing that happened was I lost my buddy Oscar after 15 years, about 4 or 5 months ago. So
oh, wow, I didn't know that.
The
guy that worked with you?
No, my dog, Oscar.
Oh, your dog.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
No, Oscar's hasn't been with me for
I was about to say, poor Oscar.
That was my son, man. So I had like a lassie relationship with my bull terrier.
That was like your Spud Webb.
Yeah, he was my Spud McKenzie.
Oh, Spud McKenzie, sorry.
Yeah, but we did everything together, camping, hiking, swimming, you name it. So I lost him. So.
But he was of age already, no?
50, just about 50. He was battling cancer for 4 years and had him on a regiment and,
What about his brother or sister? I forget what that was.
Maggie. Maggie's.
She's still there?
No, I don't have Maggie anymore.
No.
Oscar was the last of the Mohicans.
Oh, man. Sorry to hear that. It's a lot of responsibility to have an animal.
It is, yeah. Now, actually, and that actually, I gave a lot of my life for him. Because when I was traveling, I had staff and everyone that was taking care of him. And I would fly back from Vegas every weekend. I was in Vegas Monday through Friday. I would leave Friday, fly back here. And then Monday morning, 8:30 a.m. flight. You land in Vegas by 10:30. Yeah. Laboratory was right down the road from the airport. That was my regimen. I'd fly back to hang out with my dog. And
got it.
So now that he's kind of passed, I think he's given me the opportunity now to go out there and
really crush it.
Yeah. Now I got the time and I don't have to worry about that at home.
Got it. I know one of the projects you mentioned you're working on is legalization of marijuana, I guess, around the country, or is this in New Jersey?
Well, I kind of stepped back away from that to come back to real estate, as I was saying. I was involved with some advocacy here in the state. I'm on the board of directors for the New Jersey Cannabis Business Association. So we had some influence on legislation and, obviously campaigning and things like that. I was part of, the political action committee to help raise funds and support the senators' efforts and things like that. So
that's awesome.
For the most part, I think it's inevitably happening. We're looking at federal deregulation. The markets here, I was involved with, was working on some licenses here, and it's New Jersey tough. Politics.
Very
even when
tough.
you're in the politics,
it's
pretty tough. And the industry is, now I'm international, so that's one of the reasons I'm not there. I'm part of a Colombian-based cannabis company, so we're looking at international business now, GMP certifications, and exporting to the EU through Poland. And
wow.
So kind of no longer looking at the U.S., kind of looking at international business.
It's a little easier to get business done overseas.
Well, it's going to be a commodity. It's inevitable. It runs so many raw materials and the byproducts alone.
Of course.
There's fiber, there's oil, crude oil, there's distillate, isolate. So this is now going to be, these compounds are going to be going into day-to-day things we use every day, skin cream.
Sure.
So people don't need the pot or the marijuana, they need the ingredient inside of it. So that's what our, that company does out of there. They makes the raw materials that larger manufacturers or companies would basically put into their existing formulas.
So it's a whole nother industry they were creating with that.
Yeah, it's really, it's raw materials and it's biotechnology.
It's amazing. So
it's actually, so it's really, maybe you've heard of the nuance now. It's called life science. It's the merging of food and agro technology, and I should say medicine and food.
Okay.
So
well, medicine,
like
food
Bayer,
is medicine.
Life Sciences, the largest food producer is the largest pharmaceutical company.
Oh.
So
yeah, think about that.
Yeah. Food for thought.
Absolutely. No pun intended, right? But that's something we also need to think about. Definitely, food is medicine. I've always looked at it that way. And see, you look great. You're taking care of yourself, so obviously that looks like.
I try. It's a struggle, man.
Yeah, we know, like you were mentioning earlier. You get older, it's a little harder to keep it off, but you got to live it.
I have to run now. I have to do things. I'm starting to think of things like my knees. Stay young. Don't get old, people. Don't get old.
Yeah, why, right? Why bother? Yeah, and that's cool.
No, you're only as old as you feel.
Absolutely.
So, and I honestly still feel like I'm a stubborn, hard-headed, 25-year-old.
As long as you keep thinking that way, that's the way you're gonna be. That's awesome.
Some things don't change.
Well, Mike, thank you so much.
Thank you, brother.
Would you like to share any of your social media as well, so people can find out more about Mike Figler?
You can follow me online, Michael Ray Figler on Instagram, and same thing on Facebook. Don't have much of a social media presence, but stay tuned, watch some things. You're going to see some interesting stuff happening.
You'll learn a lot from Mike. Well, thank you everyone for watching another one of our Culture Casts. We're really excited to have our friend here, Michael Figler, with us today. So thank you guys, and we'll see you next time.